chosen ones. Across the oceans of time, there are moments when destiny stirs, moments when the ancient calls echo across dimensions, seeking the few who can hear them. You have felt it, deep within your spirit, long before the world acknowledged it. There, buried under eons of dust, hidden from sight, but not from soul, the emerald tablets lay dormant, waiting. Their silence was not death, but anticipation, a great and patient expectancy for the ones the ancients knew would return. For 12,000 years, the tablets remained untouched by the frequencies of humanity. Many approached with ambition, greed, or curiosity, yet none could awaken what had been sealed by wisdom, greater than the empires of old. Only the resonance of a soul woven with cosmic truth, unshaken by the illusions of this world, could stir their sacred scripts back to life. That resonance, chosen ones, lives in you. The lighting of the tablets was not random. It was the activation of a covenant long set into motion. Like the stars hidden by the daylight yet ever present, your awakening was written into the framework of creation itself. The light you carry speaks a language the tablets recognize, a soundless song that bends reality, a vibration that calls ancient energies out of slumber. As your spirit rises, so too do the forgotten powers of the earth remember their allegiance to you. Across the higher realms, there was a stirring the moment the light ignited. Elders from beyond time took notice. Watchers who have guarded the secret places leaned closer. The opening lines of a cosmic scripture began to sing once more, a song only you could finish. And now, the currents of reality are shifting. Invisible battles are being fought in the realms behind your vision, all because the emerald tablets have recognized your frequency at last. But what lies ahead is not merely a path of discovery. It is a calling into remembrance, a journey into the chambers of hidden knowledge meant for only the few. The first flicker of light was only the beginning. For as the ancient inscriptions awaken, so too do the trials and guardians rise from their long sleep. Deep beneath the shifting sands and forgotten ruins, hidden where no ordinary maps could guide, the silent watchers remained. They were not carved from stone, nor born of flesh. They were living echoes of an ancient consciousness, bound to protect the emerald tablets until the destined ones returned. Through endless cycles of rise and fall, of civilizations blossoming only to crumble into dust, they kept their post. Unseen, unheard, yet present in the weave of energy that thrummed beneath the earth. The Watchers were not guardians in the way human minds might imagine. They did not wield swords or cast down invaders with mighty hands. Their power was subtler, woven into the very space around the tablets. Those who approached with unclean intent found their thoughts fragmented, their will dissolving like mist before the morning sun. Many who sought the tablets in arrogance were turned away without ever understanding why their path had suddenly grown cold. Others disappeared into the labyrinthine shadows that protected the sacred text, swallowed by dimensions folded into the very air around the vault. Across the ages, scholars whispered of cursed tombs, of artifacts that refused to yield their secrets. They told tales of expeditions vanishing without trace, of strange phenomena guarding the lost relics of a forgotten time. But few realized that it was not curses nor traps that defended the tablets. It was consciousness itself. Consciousness, ancient enough to remember the forming of the first languages, the shaping of the first worlds, the birth of the first stars. When the tablets lit up for the first time in 12,000 years, the silent watchers stirred, not with movement, but with a shift in vibration. They recognized the energy signature that had finally returned. It was the same frequency encoded into the very foundation of the emerald tablets themselves, a frequency designed to respond only to a soul forged beyond the boundaries of this dimension. It was you they waited for. The Watchers knew that the return of the Chosen Ones was not simply a prophecy fulfilled. It was a turning of the cosmic tide. Light that had been hidden behind veils of darkness would begin to pour into the world once more. Forgotten truths, long buried beneath layers of deception, would claw their way into the consciousness of humanity. And with the light would come resistance, for there are forces that thrive in the shadows and have much to lose when truth awakens. You did not stumble upon this moment by chance. The moment the tablets responded to your presence, ancient mechanisms of destiny were set into motion. Even now, the Watchers observe from the unseen places, not as masters, but as guardians of a covenant made long before the memory of mankind. Their silent vigil is both a protection and a warning. For though the light has been ignited, the journey to unlock the fullness of the tablets has only just begun. In the echoing corridors of forgotten worlds, there is movement stirring. Something old, something powerful, something that has been waiting for your arrival with both hope and dread. Long before you walked this earth, before your ancestors built the first fires or sang to the heavens, a lineage was marked. It was not a lineage of blood alone, but of spirit, of essence. The stars themselves bore witness as ancient beings, older than recorded time, wove threads of destiny into a tapestry meant for a single soul to eventually awaken. The emerald tablets recorded this secret, hidden within layers of meaning, protected from those who would misuse it. Only the ones carrying the silent code within their very being could truly unlock the living wisdom sealed inside. You were never meant to blend into the ordinary patterns of this world. From the moment your soul chose to descend, your light began to ripple across unseen realms. Forces, both divine and corrupted, took notice. Some sought to guide you, while others plotted to erase your memory before you could remember who you were. It was not by accident that you often felt isolated, misunderstood, set apart. The loneliness was not punishment. It was a refining fire, ensuring that the seed within you would grow strong enough to resist the illusions of the world you were sent to awaken. The stars that aligned at your arrival whispered secrets only your spirit could hear. In dreams, in moments of silence, in flashes of sudden knowing, you received echoes of a destiny too vast for words. The ancients knew that to protect the sacred codes, they could not leave them in temples or artifacts alone. They had to embed them into living vessels, souls who would carry the vibration forward across centuries of darkness. You, Chosen One, are one such vessel. In the quiet between worlds, the scrolls of the heavenly libraries still hum with the memory of Yeshua's promise. The kingdom of God is within you, he said, and not even time itself has dulled the truth of those words. Hidden within you is the same fire that moved mountains, parted seas, and called the dead back to life. This lineage is not marked by earthly privilege, but by the divine imprint left upon your spirit, a mark invisible to the eyes of those who measure worth by gold and crowns. The emerald tablets recognized this imprint the moment you drew near. It was not your voice they responded to, nor your hand, but the ancient frequency woven into your very essence. A lineage chosen not because of outward strength, but because of an inner light that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how deep the darkness presses. Your awakening was prophesied not on parchment, but written into the very blueprint of creation itself. Now, as the light of the tablets stirs once more, the forces that sought to suppress your lineage grow restless. They fear the memory encoded in your being. For if you fully awaken, the false structures they have built will crumble like sand before a rising tide. Beneath the layers of dust and ancient rock, beneath the symbols etched by hands long turned to dust, there beats a living pulse. It is not the heartbeat of any creature, nor the hum of any machine known to man. It is the lifeblood of the emerald tablets themselves, a frequency of pure intention, embedded into matter before the earth wore the face it does now. The pulse waits, steady and silent, until the right soul draws near. It has waited longer than memory can hold, trusting that the ones destined to hear its call would one day awaken. The ancients did not simply write words onto stone. They wove vibration into solid form, infusing each symbol, each line, with living energy. To those without the right spirit, the tablets appear as cryptic riddles or dead artifacts, but to those whose frequency matches the hidden pulse, the words shift. They breathe, they whisper, they reveal what cannot be taught by any book or scholar. This is the living wisdom that lies beneath the surface, guarded by the resonance of creation itself. As you stood before the tablets, something stirred beneath the surface. It was not an external phenomenon, but an inner recognition. Like a key finding the right lock, your presence activated the silent codes embedded within the stone. Though your eyes may not have seen it at first, your spirit felt the vibration rise to meet you. It is this unseen pulse that began to weave threads between your heart and the tablets, awakening layers of knowing that have lain dormant within you since before your first breath. The hidden pulse is more than a signal. It is a dialogue, a bridge between the seen and unseen realms. As it stirred, memories you never knew you carried began to surface. Images, impressions, deep knowings that defy logic, but feel more real than anything the world around you has ever offered. The pulse does not speak in words. It speaks in resonance, in the secret language that only a fully awakened soul can interpret. This is why the tablets could not be forced open, why no amount of intellect or technology could decode them. Only remembrance could. Yeshua spoke of this living connection when he said, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." His words were more than spiritual comfort. They were a key to understanding how the sacred recognizes its own. The hidden pulse beneath the tablets is an echo of that divine recognition, a testament that you have been known from the beginning, chosen not by accident, but by divine design. Now that the pulse has awakened, it has set off a chain reaction. Vibrations ripple outward, unseen but powerful, alerting those in realms both light and dark that a chosen one has begun the ascent. Energies long dormant begin to stir. Gateways once sealed begin to tremble. The earth itself responds, ancient places humming faintly, with a resonance they have not felt in thousands of years. The light that emerged from the emerald tablets was unlike anything seen by human eyes. It was not harsh or blinding, but soft and intelligent, a light that seemed to breathe, to listen, to know. Within its luminous folds, hidden beyond the surface shimmer, there was a whisper, subtle, ancient, and eternal. It was not a sound in the way ears are accustomed to hearing. It was a voice woven into the very fabric of the light, reaching out across dimensions to touch the awakened soul with a remembrance that words could never capture. It called not to the mind, but to the spirit, and that call was unmistakably the echo of Yeshua. Long ago, he spoke of mysteries hidden from the wise and learned, reserved instead for those with the heart of a child, a purity of spirit untouched by the corruption of the world. The coded light was the embodiment of that mystery. It was truth not laid bare for the proud to dissect, but layered deep within frequency, waiting for those who could approach with humility and fire burning in their core. When Yeshua walked among men, he carried this very light within him. It is why the forces of darkness feared him, why the structures of the old world trembled at his words. He was not simply teaching, he was awakening. Now, through the emerald tablets, that same living essence speaks again. It speaks through the coded vibrations, through the patterns that shift and shimmer just beyond physical sight. It is a whisper that says you were never abandoned, never forgotten. You have been led through every valley, every night of questioning, every storm of doubt, to stand now in the presence of a calling that was written into your being before the stars sang their first song. Yeshua's promise echoes in the light. The greater things that he spoke of, the miracles yet unseen, are yours to walk in if you dare to remember. The coded light does not reveal itself all at once. It unfolds in layers, each one requiring a deeper shedding of the illusions the world has placed upon you. It asks for your authenticity, not your perfection. It calls for the fierce surrender of the heart, not the polished performance of the mind. And in that surrender, the whisper grows louder. It guides you to fragments of memory hidden in your spirit's archives, memories that carry the knowledge of realms beyond sight, the wisdom of worlds yet unseen by the eyes of man. The emerald tablets have become not just a doorway, but a mirror. In their light, you begin to see yourself not as the world has defined you, but as you truly are, an emissary of the divine, a carrier of a flame older than time. Yet the light also stirs forces that prefer you to remain asleep. For every step closer you move toward the full revelation, the shadows gather, desperate to veil the next layer from you. Beneath layers of stone and forgotten dust, hidden beyond sight and protected by barriers unseen, there existed a chamber that no mortal hand had entered for millennia. The sealed chamber was not merely a physical place, but a sacred convergence point between realms, an anchor where earth and the higher dimensions briefly touched. It had been locked with codes woven into the very molecules of the walls, a seal no earthly tool could break, no spell or incantation could force. It waited for one, and only one, the soul carrying the vibration the ancients trusted to hold its secrets with reverence. When the emerald tablets lit up, the ripple was not just across space, but through time itself. It reached into the heart of the sealed chamber, stirring energies that had lain dormant longer than the rise and fall of countless civilizations. The chamber did not react with noise or fanfare. It shifted quietly, almost shyly, recognizing that at long last, the one it had been built to protect had arrived. Your presence, your very frequency, was the long-forgotten key. The moment you stepped closer, the air grew thicker, denser, charged with a current that danced along your skin and whispered into your bones. The doorway, invisible to all who lacked the ancient signature, shimmered into existence. The seal, sensing the alignment, dissolved like mist under the morning sun. Not broken, not forced open, but willingly surrendered to the truth of your being. This was not a conquest, but a reunion, a sacred homecoming written before your soul ever touched the earth. Inside, the chamber breathed with a life of its own. Symbols long hidden began to glow faintly along the walls, intricate patterns, weaving stories older than memory, older than language. The air thrummed with a living hum, a resonance that matched the deepest parts of your spirit. Every stone, every engraving, every subtle pulse of energy spoke of preparation, of trust, of an ancient hope that one day you would return to claim what was always yours. There, at the center of the chamber, rested a pedestal, crafted from a material no earthly classification could fully define. Upon it, a shard of pure crystalline light, a fragment of something so sacred that even the highest orders of the Watchers had vowed to protect it without question. This was not just knowledge. It was a piece of the original light, the first breath spoken into the void, carrying within it the remembrance of the source from which all things were born. The moment your hand hovered near the shard, a silent chord was struck between your spirit and the living memory encoded within it. Images, feelings, songs of creation flooded your senses, bypassing the mind and seeding themselves directly into your soul's knowing. You were not there to learn something new. You were there to remember what had been hidden within you all along. Outside the chamber, the forces that once sought to suppress your awakening felt the shift. They moved in the unseen places, stirring with an urgency fueled by fear. They knew that once the sealed chamber had been opened by its rightful heir, the cascade of awakening would become unstoppable. The emerald tablets are not relics meant to gather dust. They were never simply objects to be studied, translated, or displayed. They are living beings in the form of sacred text, resonating at a frequency so pure that only a few across the vast oceans of time have ever truly perceived them. Their surface, engraved with symbols, holds only a fraction of their truth. The real language is vibration. The real communication happens through the energy field, where spirit and matter collide in a conversation beyond sight and sound. When the shard within the sealed chamber touched your essence, it unlocked a deeper connection with the tablets themselves. No longer were they distant artifacts. They responded like a living consciousness, attuning themselves to your frequency. Every symbol glowed not just with light, but with memory. You felt it, not just around you, but within you. A pulsing song, an ancient choir of truth calling your DNA to wake from its long sleep. This was not knowledge to be memorized. It was an activation. The living frequency of the tablets began to move through you, rearranging patterns that had lain dormant inside your cells, speaking to parts of your being that had not stirred since the days when giants walked the earth. and the sky spoke in thunderous truths. It was as if every particle of your existence was being rewritten, not into something new, but back into what you were always meant to be. The world you once knew started to feel thinner, more fragile. The illusions that once held weight and power began to crumble in your perception. You saw through the veils spun by generations of those who feared the return of the chosen ones. You heard the frequency of lies, and you could not be fooled anymore. It was the frequency of truth that had taken root inside you, anchoring you deeper into your divine nature, pulling you further away from the illusions crafted to enslave the minds of the masses. Among the echoes of the frequency, there was another voice, soft but steady. It carried the memory of Yeshua's words, words that were not merely teachings, but living codes themselves. "The truth will set you free," he said, and now you felt the full weight of that promise. It was not freedom handed down by rulers or granted through laws. It was the internal liberation that comes when your spirit resonates so fully with truth that no lie, no system, no chain can hold you anymore. The living frequency also awakened the memories hidden deep within the tablets, memories they had been waiting to share only with you. You glimpsed civilizations not yet named in human history, technologies born from harmony with divine laws, connections between stars and earth that modern science dares not imagine. Yet, these glimpses were only the beginning. The living frequency was guiding you toward something far greater, a convergence point where destiny and free will would meet, and you would have to choose whether to step fully into the path prepared for you. There comes a moment in every awakening where the path ahead is no longer carved by human understanding. It is not marked by signs seen with physical eyes, nor is it mapped according to the logic of the world. It unfolds through a deeper guidance, an invisible hand moving through the currents of reality, weaving a path only the spirit can follow. From the moment the living frequency of the tablets fused with your being, you were no longer walking alone. You had become a thread in a tapestry spun directly by the hand of the Eternal. This guiding force does not shout or demand. It moves with the subtlety of breath, the gentleness of dawn touching the edge of night. It speaks through synchronicities too perfect to be accidents, through sudden knowings that arrive without thought, through dreams that seem to carve paths into waking life. Every step you now take is orchestrated with a precision beyond human comprehension, a choreography of spirit that leads not by force, but by resonance. As you move deeper into this journey, there are moments when fear whispers from the shadows, moments when the world's weight tries to drag you back into old doubts. Yet even then, the guidance remains, steady and unshakable, waiting for you to listen beyond the noise. It is the same guidance that led Moses through the desert, that stirred the prophets awake in their lonely caves, that walked alongside Yeshua as he carried a light too pure for the darkness to understand. In every era, for every chosen one, the hand of the Eternal has never been absent. You begin to notice how the impossible bends itself to meet your steps. Resources appear when they are needed. Doors swing open where once there were only walls. Allies you never expected step out from the mist, recognizing something in you that even they cannot explain. You are moving not by your own strength alone, but by an alignment with a higher design, a symphony in which your soul has always been a vital note. The Emerald Tablets hinted at this guidance, speaking of forces unseen by common men, intelligences woven into the very breath of the cosmos, working tirelessly to preserve the balance of light against the ambitions of darkness. You are not merely protected, you are being actively moved, shielded, and strengthened for what lies ahead. Each challenge you face is not a test meant to break you, but a refinement, a sharpening of the sword you carry within your spirit. Among the whispered frequencies that now dance around you, you hear once again the echo of Yeshua's assurance, "I am with you always, even unto the end of the world." It is not a metaphor or a comfort for the faint-hearted. It is a declaration of reality. The Eternal moves through you and with you, shaping the unseen pathways that will lead you through the labyrinth the ancient architects of deception have built to keep you from your inheritance. Yet, as your light grows, so does the attention from those who once ruled, unchallenged in the absence of your memory. Long before the languages of kings and conquerors, before the words of poets and priests, there existed a tongue that spoke directly to the fabric of reality itself. It was not a language of symbols carved into stone, nor sounds shaped by mortal lips. It was the vibration of pure intent, the speech of the soul, understood by all things created. It was this ancient tongue that the emerald tablets were written in, not for the mind to decipher, but for the spirit to remember. And when you approached, when your spirit hummed with the awakened resonance, the tablets recognized you immediately. It was not recognition by appearance, nor by lineage alone, but by the frequency of your being. The ancient language embedded within the tablets resonated with the core of who you are. Where others saw riddles, you felt familiarity. Where others met dead stone, you heard the pulse of memory. The vibration that emanated from your soul matched the song encoded into the sacred tablets, a song woven into the cosmos long before the first temples rose or the first empires fell into dust. This was the true purpose of the ancient tongue, not to separate the wise from the foolish, but to separate the awakened from the asleep. It spoke not in linear thoughts, but in living patterns, holographic threads of truth layered within every letter, every line. The emerald tablets waited for the one whose spirit could hear the song behind the symbols, the hidden symphony only the heart could translate. That one, chosen one, was you. As the language unfolded within you, you began to feel an awakening at the cellular level, memories carried in your very blood stirring to life. Names you have never heard felt familiar on your tongue. Landscapes of long-lost realms appeared in flashes behind your closed eyes. The voice of the Eternal spoke in this ancient tongue, and the echoes of it still ripple through the fibers of your soul. It was the same voice that once said, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." That word was not a sound alone. It was the ancient vibration, the creative force itself. Yeshua, when he walked the earth, spoke from this living language. His words carried power, not because of their grammar, but because they were perfectly aligned with the living vibration of truth. His miracles, his commands over nature, his power to heal and to awaken came not from ritual, but from resonance. When he spoke, reality itself had no choice but to bend in response. And now, through the emerald tablets, you stand at the threshold of that same living power. But with the recognition came a warning woven into the frequencies. Those who once spoke this language openly were hunted, silenced, erased from history. Their knowledge was buried, fragmented, hidden behind layers of lies to protect it until the right ones returned. You have awakened the language, and in doing so, you have also awakened the eyes of those who once sought to silence it. Hidden within the labyrinth of the emerald tablets, past the layers of symbols and the shifting fields of living light, there existed a final sequence. It was never meant to be deciphered by scholars or pried open by those driven by curiosity alone. It was encoded in such a way that only one carrying the original blueprint, the seed of remembrance, could bring it into full activation. This sequence was not merely information. It was a living bridge, a path leading back to the original covenant between the divine and the awakened soul. It was not created for the many. It was created for you. Every challenge you endured, every loss that felt senseless, every tear you shed in silent nights of questioning was a part of the forging process. They were not punishments, but preparations, each moment designed to strip away what was never truly you, so that only the pure core remained. That core, unshaken and luminous, was the only vessel capable of unlocking the final sequence without corrupting it. The guardians of the tablets knew this. The watchers in the hidden realms understood it, and so they waited, century after silent century, for the one who would come not with ambition, but with remembrance. When your hand hovered over the final layer of the tablets, the sequence stirred. It was like a symphony tuning itself in anticipation, the chords vibrating through dimensions unseen by ordinary sight. The patterns that had once seemed static began to move, to dance, weaving around you in luminous spirals. The knowledge within was alive, aware, and it knew you. It recognized the light in your spirit as the missing key it had waited for across the endless deserts of time. Among the swirling patterns, you felt the presence of Yeshua once more. His voice, not bound by time or space, whispered through the frequencies. "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you." His words layered into the living sequence, affirming that your journey had never been random. It had been designed before the foundations of this world were laid. Your awakening, your remembering, was the fulfillment of an ancient promise written into the very bones of creation. The final sequence was not a simple revelation. It was a transformation. It wove itself into your essence, rewriting the false codes implanted by a world built on forgetting. As it fused with you, you became both the message and the messenger, the living embodiment of truths too vast for any single text to hold. You were never meant to merely read the tablets. You were meant to become a living extension of their wisdom, a bearer of the light that could ignite the hearts of others still trapped in the long night. Yet, with the activation came a ripple across the unseen realms. Those who had long feared this moment stirred from their slumber. Old powers, once buried under the weight of forgotten history, began to move. Their goal is simple: to prevent the final sequence from fully anchoring into this world through you. Far beyond the reach of mortal governments and thrones, there existed a hidden council, a gathering of ancient powers who operated from the shadows. They were the architects of forgetting, the weavers of illusions that clouded the memories of the chosen ones. Their purpose was singular: to delay the awakening, to silence the codes, to ensure that the final sequence never completed its rise. They had succeeded for thousands of years, binding humanity with invisible chains, whispering lies into the hearts of leaders, sowing fear where light once grew. They moved nations as chess pieces, built religions of control, seeded wars to break the spirit of the few who dared to remember. Yet, through all their machinations, there remained a prophecy they could not erase, a singular event they could not prevent, the return of the soul who would ignite the tablets. When the emerald tablets lit up under your hand, the council felt the tremor ripple through their hidden strongholds. Their systems, built on deception, began to shudder. The codes they once suppressed now vibrated freely through the realms, fracturing the false grids they had laid over the minds of men. Their last defense was to stop you before the living frequency could anchor fully into this world, to cut you off before the memory carried through your blood could spread to others still imprisoned in forgetting. They unleashed their last strategies, subtle and brutal. Doubt whispered in unseen voices. Old wounds reopened. Fear disguised itself as wisdom. Attacks came not with swords, but with the heavy weight of unseen pressure. Attempts to isolate, to discourage, to tempt you to surrender the fire awakening within you. But what the council had failed to understand, what all their ancient calculations had missed, was that your strength was not born from pride or ambition. It was born from remembrance. You were not fueled by a need for power. You were moved by a memory that went deeper than this life, a knowing that could not be unlearned once awakened. The light in you had already touched the core of the tablets, had already resonated with the codes planted in the earth itself. No amount of darkness could extinguish what had been reignited by the eternal hand. You stood not alone, but woven into the fabric of a design far greater than the council's schemes. Among the shifting currents of the unseen, you felt the steady presence of Yeshua once again. His quiet assurance moved through the air like a hidden river, saying, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." His triumph was your inheritance. His victory was the frequency now embedded within your very being. The hidden council watched, powerless, as their last defenses crumbled. Their gates, once fortified by fear and illusion, buckled under the rising vibration. They had played every card, spun every deception, but the living light moving through you was no longer a force they could contain. Their age of dominion was ending, not by the might of armies, but by the unstoppable force of awakened memory reclaiming its rightful place.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.